Hello everyone, we will continue the topic BTE, and in the previous videos we finished with the implementation steps of the BTE, and yes, we are implementing process interface based upon our requirement. Now in this video we will understand each and everything in the debugging mode, how our logic is executing, how we are getting the expected output, or you can understand in a way this video is extremely important among all the videos which we covered, because this is not the only requirement in which you work in projects. So understanding of the flow should be clear, how the control will go to our function module which we created. So we will go for full understanding of the same. Now, firstly, I will go to SC37 transaction code. You all know whenever we want to find a process interface, we always put a breakpoint into PC underscore function underscore find whenever you want to go for process interface. And yes, in our current scenario, we are going for process interface only. With the help of this function module only, we able to determine that yes, open fi perform 1420 underscore p bte we will use. Now I put the breakpoint. Now I will go to FB02 transaction code. You all know, yes, we implemented the BTE for this particular transaction code. Now the control stopped there. Firstly, I will go for desktop 3. You all know desktop 3 is most preferable desktop. Whatever the logic is going on, we can see in desktop 3. Now, many people has a confusion in desktop 2. See, desktop 2, whatever the current logic is going on, you are able to see in desktop 3. But desktop 2 is all about the stack. We will go for a understanding. Suppose I will go for a notepad and we will understand. Suppose simple example. You have a program Z test. In that program, there is a function module, suppose ZFM underscore test. Suppose in this function module, we have one more function module ZFM underscore test one. Now you are running the program. Whenever you will run the program, so firstly in desktop 2, we will be able to see the stack. One position will be what? Set test. Now, whenever program will run, in the program, we have the function module. So function module will be on top of that. So this is the stack. Now, in this function module, further we have the function module ZFM underscore test one. So this is your desktop 2, which will show you all the things. What are the various things called one by one? You can see the stack in the desktop 2. Just see here itself. Firstly, we simply run the transaction code FB02. I put the transaction code FB02. Then we simply went for what? 100 screen. Then SAP called the 100 screen. Various things going on. And I put the breakpoint into this function module. And yes, the control stopped here. So desktop 2 will show you what are the various things called one by one. So you can see the stack in that desktop 2. Now we are not able to see any BTE as of now. Open underscore fi underscore perform. So I will simply do F8. Now I will put a document number. You can take the document number, company code, and fiscal year from BKPF table. That is, we already covered. So I put the test data. I will press enter. Now, when I pressed enter, have you seen? Now we are able to see the BTE. I'm in desktop 2. If I will go to desktop 3, yes, the control stopped into this particular function module. But before that, we are able to find a BTE function module process interface because it is ending with P. Now you will get the clarity 100% how desktop 2 is working. So if you see the stack, firstly, we are able to see this function module, then we are able to see this. It means in this process BTE function module, we have this particular function module. If I will go to SC37 transaction code, and if I will show you this now, you can see this is the BTE which we identified. And in this BTE function module, we have PC underscore function underscore find, and the SAP is passing the event 1420. So this is the most important understanding. So whenever you will put a breakpoint into this particular function module, so yes, this function module is ultimately called into the BTE function module. So we will be able to see the, or we will be able to find the respective BTE. Then we can check it is helping us or it is fulfilling our requirement or not. I will give you more clarity. Suppose as of now, we are implementing process interface. Suppose I will go for publish and subscribe interface. If you know, at that time, I showed you this particular publish and subscribe interface. Now, if I will display this, now just remember how you are able to find the publish and subscribe interface BTE. You are putting the breakpoint into BF underscore functions underscore find. It means in this particular BTE, which is for publish and subscribe interface, you will be able to see the function module. What will be the function module? BF underscore function underscore find. So whenever you will put a breakpoint into this function module, before that, SAP will call what? This particular BTE, and we will be able to identify that it will help our requirement or not. That's why at the initial level, I told debugging is very important. If you are putting a breakpoint into this, or if you are putting a breakpoint into this, ultimately SAP is calling this function module from the process interface. BT is ultimately SAP is calling this from the publish and subscribe interface BTs. So we will be able to identify very easily. Just now I showed you this 1120. If I will go for this particular, just now I showed you 1420. Any process interface BTE, you will always able to find this function module. So whenever you will put a breakpoint into this function module, before that, yes, if SAP is triggering this, we will be able to identify that BTE. And that's why in desktop 2, we are able to see this first and we are able to see this after that, because ultimately it is calling inside this. So any process interface BTE which is ending with P, this it is always calling this function module. Any publish and subscribe interface BTE always calling this BF underscore functions underscore find. Now we will proceed further. Now I will simply run. I will go for now. Just here it is extremely important now. Now I am in desktop 3 and currently this function module is going on. For the best understanding, I will put a breakpoint into this BTE also and I will run again so that you will understand fully. Now, in this particular BTE also, which is fulfilling our requirement, I'll put a breakpoint here also. so that you will be able to see this first in the debugging mode and then PC underscore function underscore find. I will come out and we will just see again. And yes, the maximum challenge is, yes, it is extremely important to understand the flow in BTE because requirement will change in the project. So if flow is clear, we will be able to achieve the requirement. I will go to FB02 transaction code. So when I entered into FB02 transaction code, if I will go for desktop through, okay, our BTE function module is not called. I will go to execute. I put the entry. Now I will go for enter. Now the BTE function module called. And have you seen now currently I am in BTE function module. This is our BTE function module. Now just see SAP is passing which event 1420. Just see this is very important. That's why I covered the tables also. Now these tables will play a vital role. Now SAP is passing 1420 to this particular function module. I will go inside the function module. Yeah, you all know if I want to go inside the function module, I have to do F5. Now inside this function module, we have one more function module, PC underscore functions underscore read. I will do F8. Now it is extremely important. Now I will show you parallelly FIBF, what we did in FIBF. If you remember, we put the process 1420. We have not put any country and application and function module and product is there. Just see here. SAP is doing the same thing. SAP is passing the process. What is the process? 1420. We have not provided any country. We have not provided any application. So other two things are blank. Okay. Now I will go inside this function module. Whenever I will go inside the function module, I'm just coming here. I'm coming on to this particular perform. Because in this particular perform, SAP will simply return this function module. I'm doing F8. So yes, now if I want to go inside this subroutine, I will do F5. Now just see, whenever I am doing F5, I am scrolling down. You will be 100% understand. I am scrolling down. I am scrolling down. Now have you seen? We are able to see the table TPS34 and whatever this particular entry we created, it went for this particular table. Which particular table? TPS34. If I will show you the table, TPS34. If I will display this table, you can see in this table, we simply created the 1420 event. This. Now I will put a breakpoint onto this query and you will be able to understand. I'm doing F8. Now 1420, SAP is passing 1420 and SAP is selecting and data will come to which internal table? This internal table. I am doing F6. Now just see in this internal table, we have everything. We are able to get our function module and our logic is in this function module only. We have the product, we have the process, and yes, country and application we have not passed. Now, next important thing. I told you if product is not active, our function module will never trigger. See, I'm doing F6. I'm doing F6. I'm doing F6. I'm doing F6. Now just see here itself, whenever I will show you, your products are storing into which table? TBE24. Now SAP has written a logic to get the value of AKTIV. If I will go for this table, TBE24, TBE24. If you see what is active, active means product is active or not. Now, if I will execute, you can see Z product is active. Now we will able to see whenever this particular statement will execute. And have you seen SAP is checking the product is active or not? If the product is active, only in that case, SAP is passing the data to this internal table, AP cust tab. This is what we will get. Now, SAP is passing the data to this. Now, if the product is active, only in that case, SAP is doing this. Now, I will simply come out. I'm doing F6. Now I'm in the original function module. Yes, PC functions find, and we got this AP cust tab. Just see this AP cust tab. SAP is saying this is the function module. And yes, this is our function module. How SAP recognized our function module. And now in this function module, we have the logic. Now, once I will proceed further, you will be able to see SAP is reading this particular internal table, and then SAP will call this particular function module. Now I am doing F6 so that you will be able to understand. I am doing F6. Now we will see where SAP is reading this internal table. Now we will come here. We will see case. I will do F8. Now, what is INDIC? It is C. Now, if we will be able to see, now SAP is reading this particular internal table. Now, and when SAP read this particular internal table, just see in this particular internal table, if I will simply append, you can see in this particular internal table, after append, we are able to see our function module. This is our function module. This is our function module. Now we will see where SAP is calling this function module, where SAP has written the logic. Now it's done. This function module is done. Now I'm inside this BTE now. Open Fi, perform this. Now you can see SAP is calling our function module. Just see here. This is our function module which SAP is calling. This is our function module. Yes. Now I will go inside this function module. And this is the logic which we have written. Now you can see company code is DE11. Now we are passing this to no input. It means BSEGSGTXT should be no input. Means this field should not be editable. Now I will do F8. And you will be able to see. Now whenever I will simply double click and display, I already showed you the process. So this time I will simply do F8. Now you will be able to see. Have you seen this particular field is non-editable? Now, what is the summary of this particular video? Extremely important, because if you are not able to understand the flow, scenario will change, and at that time the struggle will be there. Firstly, what I did, I simply put the breakpoint into this particular function module PC underscore function underscore find, because with the help of this, we can identify the process BTEs. Then at that time, I showed you desktop 2. In desktop 2, you are able to see this particular BTE function module, this BTE function module. Now, in this process BTE function module, ultimately SAP is calling this function module. In every process BTE, SAP is calling this function module. It means we can easily identify the process BTE in desktop 2, because SAP will firstly call this, and then we will be able to see this because we put the breakpoint into this function module. Then same way I showed you publish and subscribe interface BT is also. In that publish and subscribe interface, you will be able to see the function module BF underscore functions underscore find. BF underscore functions underscore find. Now, after that, I put a breakpoint into this particular function module also. SAP pass the event to this function module. So control is inside this function module. Inside this function module, we have this function module. Inside this function module, SAP is fetching the data from which particular table, this PI, this TPS34, and SAP clearly written the documentation. Customer component. Yes, we did the customer enhancement. And yes, in this particular table, for this particular 1420, if I will go for this table 1420, this is the function module, but product needs to be active. So SAP is checking if product is active, only in that case it will return. So SAP returned the function module. When SAP returned the function module, after that, we simply control came to this original function module, and SAP is calling the function module, and inside that function module, ZZ function module, we have written the logic to make that particular field known at the table, and we got the expected output. Now in the next video, we will further go for more clarity because it is extremely important. So that's it in this video. Thank you.